Danielle is my model, and she has one of the things that we're going to work on with her hair is she's like a lot of other people, has had the hair real short, and now she's in the stage of growing it out. So what I want to do with Danielle's hair, we've grown the sides down to here. We have a good length in the bang area, but right now the crown is still pretty short, and we have a lot of hair here. So what I want to do is take out some of the bulk in this area, create a closer look, which will get her closer into having a little bit longer and create a little bit of a shorter bob, almost an urban bob shape. We'll section this out, and I will take some of this hair in this area out so that it lays closer to the head. I will begin by just holding it straight out from the head in the center section and carving this section out. I'll hold another section straight out, take just a little bit more off so that I end up with a very close nape, which will then make the crown section look longer because we've shortened the underneath. And it'll give her an overall better shape while she's growing her hair out, so that she doesn't have to put up with a head of hair that's maybe not the right shape. Just taking diagonal sections with my little razor cutter and just closing the bottom end a little bit more, just edging it out, taking it in a little closer to the head so that I can make that crown then appear a little longer. Taking it right to the occipital bone, just converging little pieces and razoring it out with the cutter. Holding it straight out in the same direction that if I were cutting with a shear, except I'm doing it with a little razor cutter. Just taking another section, leaving my top section, anything below that I'm taking off. And little diagonal sections. And you can see how soft the little razor cutter really works in there and softens that hair up. Softens the ends up. Danielle has a little bit of a coarse texture of hair anyway, so if I were to do this more with the scissors, I would probably end up with a little bit more of the places where we had cut, and it would be a little harder. Then I would have to go back and soften it with the texturizer. This way I'm doing the cut all in one. I'm cutting a soft line, and then I won't have to go back and soften anything up because I'm cutting it soft to begin with. Just getting in there. Now you can already see how the crown is appearing a little bit longer and has a little nicer shape. Now we're going to soften up her bangs just slightly so that I don't take a lot of length off of there, but I just go in, converge together, and just lighten them up just a little bit. Just going in and just channeling some pieces out. This little cutter works great for this because you can just zero in and take off exactly the amount you want. Just going in, getting my little cutter in here, converging the hair together, taking off just a little bit in the bang area to lighten the bangs up. Now that I have her dried, and basically I only finger dried it, you can see how much texture that there is in there. There's a little area, like you can see now how this looks a little longer because we've taken more off here. Still a little bit of bulkiness here. We can go in with our little razor comb on dry hair and just really pick up a little pieces just to get a little bit more bulk out and a little more blending in there. You can see it a little more where you need it once it gets dry. I'm adding just a little bit of pomade just to play up that texture in Danielle's hair. Really work it in so we can see all the texture we added. And you can see the balance of that now that we've taken out some of the weight in the back. She now has a little bit more of a textured little short, the beginnings of a little short bob, and making the stages of growing that hair out a little easier. Because now the perimeter is a little closer. It created a little more length and a little more area in the top and closer at the neckline. It'll make the growing out process twice as easy.
see that her hair has been cut previously where we've got a little bit of a fringe and the side pieces are coming through, and it's a little shorter right at the cheekbone, and then it's a little bit longer at the base. What we're going to do today is we're going to bring that up just a touch to match it up a bit more with the sides and give her a little bit more of a bob shape, and then we're going to be going through and converging the hair to get rid of some of the weight. So I'm going to start off first by using a regular scissors, and then we're going to go through and converge the haircut and be using the new cutting tool. You can tell here that it is real important to keep your partings nice and straight. And that ensures that you're going to get a nice solid line in the back. And I want to keep checking too, because I want that hair to be the same length on the sides as I do in the back. So I'm going to have her tilt her head down at kind of a 45-degree angle there, because I want a little bit of beveling coming underneath. Okay. There we go. Okay, and once I've got that first line cut in, I'm just going to be checking it, making sure that everything's nice and neat and even. Just checking it up with my sides here. I didn't want to take too much off because I still want to create a little bit of softness in this area and through here. So I'll be taking down my next section here. Combing that all down. I probably won't have to take that much off because we're just trying to get a little bit stronger shape on the bottom.
Yeah, there you
My next step, after I determine the length, is I'm going to go and take a parting from ear to ear. Combing all that hair back in case you want to check and just make sure that all the weight is distributed evenly on either side of the ear. And I'm going to take my top crown section and I'm just going to start to check to determine the length that I want my crown to be. On my model Marie today here, I want the crown to be exactly the same. So I'm just going to take that and take the cutting tool and take my first section and part it off. Get that hair all out of the way, and I'm going to have her tilt her head straight out so her chin is parallel to my comb. And I'm just going to take that hair and I'm going to converge with the top piece here. And I'm just going to take the cutting tool and cut into it. I'm going to take my next section, bring it towards the center, converging the hair and cutting it off. You're going to take the from underneath the bottom and bring it up, converge it, and take it off. You can see how much easier it is then, and you're creating a lot of softness through the hair. You're not getting a real hard line at all. In this particular haircut, we don't want to take it in too close. We still want to have a little bit of movement and body down in through there. So I'm going to be coming around to the ear again, lifting that hair up, using my guide from the top, converging it together, and taking that hair off. So now I've completed the back. We've taken out the weight that was located in the middle section. So now it has a lot of movement and a lot of body and shape, and she's getting a lot of height in her crown. Before, the weight was all located down below the occipital bone. So now we've taken that away, and you can still see that she's got some length and some movement and some texture. Now we'll come around and we're going to start up where our first section was, here in the crown. And we're just going to go through here and blend in through the haircut and just soften up the ends. Once again, you can take this and converge it together. Holding those pieces together like that, and you can take the comb and just come through the ends and just notch it out and let that hair free up a little bit more. And you can use this instead of using like a texturizing shear to get those ends to be real soft and notched. I think it's real important too that you do know the shape of your client's head, and your actual points of interest here are where you want that fringe to fall, how high you want the crown to be, and the length of the hair. That's three real important points that you've got to keep remembering the entire time that you're doing this haircut. Now once I get to this point here, I can go through and pull this hair out. Converging it all together, taking the tool and come out. And depending on how much you want to take out will be how strong it goes through the hair. If you want to just take tiny bits out, you can take it through the pieces and just gently come through like this, and it'll just create a real soft fringe around the face. Or if you really want something more dramatic, you can take it in through the hair and bring it through, and that will really create a lot of taking the weight out of it. And in this particular instance, we just want to take away just a little bit of bulk. I'm just going to go through the fringe area here and just soften that up also. But as you can see, we're getting a lot softer of a shape going through it. Now you can just take the tool here and just real gently come through and just take away a little bit of the weight where you want it. You have the control. And it just kind of plays it up around the face. And this tool is designed for, you can use it with both hands. You don't just have to have one hand. It can be switched off. And you can see on Marie's hair now has a lot of texture and movement. And we've created much more volume up on the top and here, and a lot less in through the sides. And also this haircut is quite versatile. You can wear it forward and messy, as we're showing in this instance, or this hair can be taken back off the face, and it becomes quite a different look for Marie. Giving her hair a whole new feeling. I did blow dry it, just shaking it out and taking the blow dryer at the scalp and lift the hair up and releasing all that texture that we cut into the hair. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just working a little wax in through the hair, just creating even a little bit more of a disheveled look. And that's what's fun about this tool, is that it does create a lot of interesting pieciness going in through there, that you can let yourself be creative and not always have to do the same haircuts every day. And this is just a free and easy style. She can wear this very many different ways. So let's take a look at here. We can see the profile. And you can just see how the hair is real soft. There's nothing stiff about this style or using the tool. Lots of movement going on in here.
What I want to do with Miranda's hair is right now she has a really beautiful bob in her hair that's cut basically around a horizontal round bob. What I want to create with her haircut today is I want to have the same length here, but I want to take off some of the weight in this area so that she'll be shorter to longer. I'm going to do this by sectioning off right in the center back. We'll section right down in the center back. Going to section out an area from the occipital bone down, which I'll measure right here, the flat of the head, measure from the occipital bone down, and I'm basically going to remove a good bit of the weight in this area so that her hair, I'll have her angle up a little bit higher in the back. The first thing I'm going to do is take a section from the center, and as you can see, Miranda's hair is very short at the bottom and longer at the top. What I want to create is a little less hair in this section, so I've held the hair out from the head in a vertical section, and I'll just insert my little razor cutter right in this area. I'll take another section from the occipital bone to the bottom hair, holding out the bottom hair and cutting the hair in between. Another section, take another section, holding it out, and then cutting in a vertical section until all of the hair is completed. Let's take another section from here. I have a little more weight in this area, just holding it straight out from the head and carving out some of the bulk in the area. You can see how nice and light that finishes it. Just holding it out, making it in a little closer. Taking another section above that parting, holding it down to about the occipital bone and just carving it out. Holding it out, running the cutter right down. This little cutter is very, very versatile. It's almost like cutting with a pair of scissors in the same motions, except you get the softness of a razor. And the hair is channeled through so that you have nice small pieces as you cut. I'm going to take another section a little higher on the head, bringing it down. I'll start at the occipital bone. Now here I'm converging. You can either converge it together or you can hold it just as though you would if you were cutting with a pair of scissors. And let's take another section. I'll have Miranda hold her head up just a little. Another vertical section until I get to the middle of the ear. But just coming right here at the occipital bone because I want her back to be shorter to longer on the sides. So we'll just take another little section, slice it out, and you can see it's working nicely. We'll take another section. I'll have Miranda lift her head up just a little. That's perfect. Then I'll take the hair in the top section of hers was already short. So I'm taking the section so that this crown will be a little shorter, coming down into longer on the sides. She'll end up with a nice, soft, graduated bob is what we'll have. Now that I've gotten to the back of the ear, let's take a section from the side and connect the back with the front. And remember, I want the sides to remain longer, so I'll just converge that right in with the sides. Now, I've allowed all of the length to remain on the sides, so now looking at Miranda's hair, we can see that she's a little shorter in the back, a little bit of a graduated bob, lots of softness though. It did not create a shelf. I removed some of that weight so that the hair blends from one to the other. I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to remove a little more of the weight by dragging the cutting tool just right through the ends, just slightly. You can see that it channels the hair in. You can take out as much as you want or as little as you want, just because of the way you're tilting the cutter. Just going in, channeling out just a little bit. I'm just angling the cutter slightly so that I take out a small amount of hair just to texture that hair and create a little more movement in there. You can take the little cutting tool, you can bring it down like this just to taper out some pieces real nice, blend it in so you don't have any type of a shelf. It really goes right in and you don't see any lines in this cut. Here again, I'm taking just a little bit. We'll take a little bit off in here, just removing a small amount and texturizing that hair in. You can see how handy it is to do that. You can do something with this cutter that you can't do with any other type of razor, just by channeling in on the little pieces. It's almost like a channeling shear, except it's a razor. That's the type of effect that you will get with this. Just going in and removing whatever amount of the hair you wanted to. And that gives us a nice stacked bob where her sides now look very long compared to the back. I'm adding just a little bit of pomade through Miranda's hair just to play up all the nice texture that I just created in her hair. And boy, does it really show. You can see now she has a lot of lift here with a nice shortness in the back. Let's see her from the profile. You can see all the closeness here with the longer sides, which is really nice, because one of the things that a lot of the younger kids are liking to do right now is to be able to tuck that hair back behind the ear, and you see how nicely that goes back and gives her a whole different little feeling to it. But it's really nice coming down like that on Miranda.
This is my model Erin, and today we're going to take Erin's hair and use the cutting tool again. And once again, we're showing kind of a trend here where we're taking the bottom section below the occipital bone and we're leaving the front longer. And actually, I'm going to do something a little bit different here too, where the crown's going to be quite short on the top and kind of spiky. So first off, I'm going to go in through here and part off, making my model's head turn down here. And I'm parting that hair off right at the occipital bone. And then again, I'm going to be coming in and taking that hair and taking it to the angle that I want. And I'm going to be taking the cutter and cutting in. Again, I'm taking the cutter and cutting in where I want it to be, creating that real soft look on, no hard edges on the bottom. And then I can go back in and just use even one or two of the tangs of the razor and come in and do a little piecework in there, just to even create a little more softness and to remove a little more bulk. I can come right on around. Keep doing some finishing work. And as you can see, we're creating a lot of texture and movement again. Now I'm going to bring up from the top here, and I want to keep as much length as I can. And I'm going to converge this again and just squeeze that through and remove that bulk. Taking my next section, converging it, and removing the bulk. And you can see you get a nice rounded effect, but there's no heavy look to it, or there's not like a definite weight line through there. Now I'm taking that right in through here. I'm just going to lift that hair up slightly And I'm just going to be sliding it towards the longer sections, just creating a little bit of softness on the edges. Now I'm going to be coming up into the crown area. Where I want Erin's crown to be kind of almost short and spiky. I'm just going to take this hair where I want it to bend. This is the breaking point right here. I'm going to lift that hair straight up. I'm going to take the tool, come down very near towards the scalp, and just lift that up. And you can already tell how much that's lifting that scalp up. Taking the tool, coming in towards the scalp, and combing out. Now I just want to blend a tiny bit from the crown to her fringe. Taking that hair up from the longest piece, bringing it back, converging, taking the tool and running it up. And you can tell that you're really getting a lot of texture on those ends. Now this is when you can come in and do a little bit of your fine-tuning also once this hair is starting to dry a little bit more. I've decided now that I want to put in a short little cropped bang right in this area to open up Erin's face. So I'm going to come in through here. I'm going to come in through here and I'm going to twist it up. Take a little tiny section and twist it up, and I can just use one tang in this razor and bring it out. And you can see that that's creating a little bit more texture in there. I've taken a thermal spray and I've sprayed it on the root area, hitting it on the root area, and then taking the hot blow dryer and I blow dried it until it's straight and it has the look of being flat ironed. And now I'm going to go through with just a touch of a wax. Worked well in through my fingers. You can see a lot of pieciness going on in through there and a lot of lift. And you can really tell that we've taken that back in and it's left the front look a lot longer.
There are lots of different ways that we can add textured hair. With Erin's hair, I've created a little bit of a texture because I've highlighted just a little bit lighter pieces in there so that when the hair's finished, it would automatically create a little texture in the hair. But what I'm going to do with the haircut, I'm going to cut her with a little razor cutter so that the hair will automatically be textured and we won't have to go back in and do any texturizing. Now the way that I want to start with this is I will just start at her neckline in the back. Now Erin is already fairly short, but I'm going to take her in a little bit closer. And I'll start right on the flat of the head is where I'm going to take her the closest. I'll section out right in this area and just start my little cut right in here and just go in with my cutter, take her in a little closer by beveling out some of the hair. Let's get this out just a little more. Converge the section together. It makes it really easy to cut. And just going in, converge the section, lay the cutter in, and we already have each piece texturized as we go. So it really does save us an extra step. On most of my cutting, if I don't texturize while I'm cutting, then I go back after I've dried the hair. And of course, we still would have the freedom to do that if we wanted to. But I'm just converging sections together on the lower perimeter of Erin's head and just converging and cutting off. And with this, it'll leave it very soft. You can see the neckline remains nice and soft and wispy. And it will create a very textured look with her hair. You know, not only that with the look of it, but it makes it very easy to dry the hair, creating a little volume. And the hair can be smoothed out as well as texture. So you have your choice of two different looks. It'll go real smooth or it'll go real textured. I'm going in and just lifting this neckline just a bit and just taking my little cutting tool and texturizing those little ends so that we have no bluntness on the hair. Now that I have the underneath done, we have from the occipital bone down cut, I'll just go right around the head form, starting in the crown area, because I want this crown a little shorter and a little more textured. So I'll just converge together, take a little bit off, let that be my guide. I'll hold up another section, take it off, and you can see all the texture that's created in there. I'll take a section right over the ear area, converge it together, right where I want the length to be, and I go just by my guide, the previous cut. Right over the ear area, I'm going to converge all of this hair to one section because I really want it a little shorter over her ear area. So we just take a little bit off in there. Let's get just a little more. Still seeing how light and textured that's going to be. Right over the ear in a horizontal pattern, I'll come right on around. We'll go from short over the ear to a little longer in front. I'm opting to leave just a little bit in the front for softness. Since this is going to be a real textured look, I want it to be very soft around the edges. Just taking a little bit, coming on forward on the head form, and taking off the hair and converging to where I want the shortest part to be. I'll go from short down into longer around the face. Now the little area right in this area, right over the eye area, I want to have a little shorter, so I'll converge together and just take my cutter and go right in. That gives us a little shorter. I'll converge the long up to the short, together, and cut. And that creates a little shortness right around the face. Let's go back to the other side. And you can see what a nice finish that has. A nice face framing area. Now let's go right in, up and down from the ear area up to the top. Converge this together and just cut. Shorter in the top, leaving a little longer length going down into the crown. Right over the ear area, converge together and cut. Directly over the ear area where I want to be a little shorter and cut. Going right on around the head form. Let's take it right around. That's good. And converge together and cut. And it just tapers it and cuts all in one. Right over the ear area, directly on the top part of the ear, I want a little shorter, so I'll just go right up and make it a little shorter, leaving the length, converging everything to the top, and cutting, which leaves me nice length around this area, right in front of the ear. Same thing in the bang area. I want to converge together, make a little bit shorter bang in this area, and cut. Leaving a little hair a little bit longer around the ear area, just converging together. Now let's go back and pick up the top. We'll start with the shortest part in the crown, and I'll just bring everything to the crown and just converge to the top. And I want that top nice and short and textured. Just picking up, twisting to the center, but holding everything back towards the crown area. Picking up a good bit of hair so that we have a good bit cut at one time. And we've got nice texture on that top. And I'll just finish, just holding front to back until we run out of hair right here. Picking up and converging from short to long. Let's pick up just another little area in here, right on the top. Converging front to back. Take the front back because I want to allow the length. And we've got lots of nice texture. We can take just a little more off wherever we want it. And what I'll do next, after I complete the cut, I'll dry Erin's hair, take a look at it and see if there's anything else that I want to do to it. But you can see already how much nice texture we have in there just from going through with the cut. Okay, I've completely dried Erin's hair just using my fingers, and you can see already, even without any product on there, you can see all the texture in her hair, and that's just from the cut. I've dried it, checked out the balance of my cut. I know that I have what I want, so I'm going to add just a little bit of pomade on here so that it'll really even play up the texture even more, because there are numerous ways that we can add texture. We can do it with color, we can do it with product, and of course it makes it much easier if the cut is cut so that you automatically create that texture. The product will do its job better, the color will do its job better. If that haircut is in there, you've got it all together. So giving a haircut with texture makes the job so much easier, because literally all I did to dry hers was just do a little bit with my fingers, no round brushing, and of course this translates into a client at home having very easy hair to do. It makes it easier for her every day to shampoo, to add a little pomade, and off she goes. And that's the whole thing we want to do with texture, is to create that softness. You can go shorter, it doesn't look real severe, and that is the nice textured look on Erin. With Andrea's hair, I'm going to take her into a little shorter cut. I am going to leave a little more length on the top, but a little shorter cut down in the lower perimeter, but I'll still leave it a little softer cut. It's not going to be severe. It'll still be soft with a little texture throughout, so it can create some little softness all the way around the edges. Now this is a very simple cut. I'm going to be working first on the flat of the head. This will be the shorter area where the head is flat up to the round, and the same thing on the sides, on the flat of the head up to where the head begins to round. Now what I'll do with this cut, I'll just make a center part, and we'll work first on the underneath. We do have a good bit of hair to take off Andrea because we're doing a little bit shorter cut, but we'll just take a center part. I'll converge the hair together, and we'll just take it off very easily, just leaving nice and soft pieces. The same thing on the left side, just removing it, leaving it nice and soft on the edges as I go. A piece from the left side, and we'll just work right on up. Piece from the right, and we'll work right up the head form, making it closer into the head on the lower part of the hair. Just working up the head form now, I'm lifting the hair out just slightly, lay my cutter in, and just take little horizontal cuts across the head form, making it in closer and making the ends nice and soft. And as I work up the head form, I just elevate just slightly, because as I get up to this area where the head begins to round, I'm going to start leaving a little more length as I go up, so that the underneath is a little closer to the head, and a little more length as I go up the head form. Let's take another piece from this side, and just picking up a little piece that I previously cut, converge the hair together just a little, and just cut. And I want to make sure that I have a good length in here. I'm going to go back and remove just a little more, remove a little bit more of that weight, which will only lighten the ends up just a little more as I go. Now at this point on the head, I've already got on the flat of the head, I've cut all of that area, so I'm going to take a piece of hair from the side in a horizontal parting, and I will begin to incorporate this hair up with the back. Just picking up another piece section from the back and cutting, and I'll hold everything out with the piece that I incorporated in on the side and just begin to lift slightly to take some more of that weight out of there. Keep the ends soft and textured. Just lifting slightly as I go. We'll bring down another section and just repeat the same thing. I'll lift as I go, seeing my guide fall out from underneath, And remember, I wanted to leave a little more length, so I'm holding this down just a little bit, just to give a little more length on the top, and just elevating it out. Taking my sections around the head form. Adding that texture as we go. Just converging together just to go back and check and see that I have what I want. Now I'll incorporate a little of her bangs in with this at this time, and go ahead and pick up a little bit of the bang area, because I know that I want a little soft bang going into the sides, so I'll just converge a section and come right on down and blend that right in with my sides, picking up her bang area. Want a little bit of a pretty soft bang here. We'll just let another little section down until we complete this whole area. Lifting up, letting my bottom drop out, leaving a little more length right on the top area. And using the little cutter, you get that real soft texture in there. You can use it as a channeling. You can, if you want to take a little more weight out of this as you go, you can just lift it right down. Picking a section up from the crown, just letting my underneath fall out so I'll know exactly where I want my length to fall, leaving that top a little longer, and just taking the cutter and almost channeling into it, like so. And you can see the different pieces, the different texture that that creates by channeling through the hair. It's like doing two things at one time. I won't have to go back after this hair is cut and do any texturizing at all, because I'm doing it all while the hair is wet and while I'm cutting. Just lifting out, letting my bottom drop out so I can see exactly where I want to start my guide, my cut, and just taking this in a little bit closer, working up and around the head form just a little bit more, leaving my crown just a little longer. I want my closeness around the lower part of the head. Just using my little cutter to add all that nice texture. We'll turn her around just a little, and I'll take a horizontal section out of the side, from the side, and just pick up a piece from the back so I'll know exactly where I'm going with my cut. A little piece from the side to go on around by the ear area and get my cut. Let's get one more little piece here. Take a little more of that weight out of there. And just pick up another section. Picking a section up from the back so I can see, you can see my little guide fall out there. I want to leave a little more length on the top. And I'm actually cutting through a good bit of hair with this. It'll go through quite a bit. Miss Andrea has a good bit of hair, so you can see we can go right through it with a little section. You can do a little bit more converged cutting with this. Another piece from the top, and we'll incorporate a little bit more of the bangs in there so we can see where we're at. Picking up a little piece of that to connect the front and the sides. Just a little more in this bang area. Now we'll pick up another piece from the crown and incorporate it right in with the rest. Just, you can see where the little area from underneath falls out. That's where we'll start cutting, because my whole idea with this was to leave her top just a little bit longer, just a touch longer, so it would be a nice soft short haircut that she could gel, comb around, or add texture to it. And just about completing our haircut, just converging this together to see if we need to remove a little more of the weight. And off it goes. I've just dried it with my fingers and my dryer, and you can see how much texture, how much lift is in there. And I've actually did not have to go back and do any texturizing. Everything was done with the cutter as I go. And you can see all the movement in there. It's nice and close and soft at the neckline, nice and sharp there, and then layered and textured on the interior. Now, I haven't added any product to this because I wanted you to see it without anything. Now I'll take a little texture control and we'll add just a little pomade here just to see how much of that texture we can bring out. Now, there was no round brushing done on Andrea's head. Now, if you wanted to, you could finish it off. You could finish it off more or you could finish it off less, either one that you chose to do. But you can see how much of that texture will appear in the hair with just adding a little product to it. So you can see how easy it is to add that texture. And we did do Andrea's color too, which adds a little bit of texture in there because we've got a little blonde over blonde there, which it's another thing that helps create the texture in the hair. Just really nice and textured in the back. Let's turn her around so we can see. You can see how all of that texture just goes right in. I really have the ultimate challenge here because she has very, very heavy, thick hair. Now, what I want to do with her hair is we're going to leave a lot of length here, but I'm probably going to take off a couple inches off the bottom, and then she has around the edges a little bit of a slant angle here. So I'm going to play that up just a little bit. But what I want to do is first I'll get her sectioned off the way that I want to cut it, and I'm probably going to remove about maybe 3 inches off the bottom, and I will do it with the little razor cutter so that it will never look like a fresh haircut because all the ends are going to be very soft rather than a blunt cut. Now, I have my model's hair sectioned. Since her hair is very long and very heavy, I have it sectioned so that I've carved out a small section from the bottom to start my cut, and I'll be able to undo this and let each piece down. Because what I want to achieve with Cindy Marie's hair is take a couple inches off, but I want to take it off very soft so that I've just converged her to the center and just taking it off like that. Now I'll let another piece down, I'll let another layer down, and since I have this section to where I can just drop it as I go, it'll be real easy. Now, one thing that I would like to note is I have the front section, the center of the ear is there. I won't touch that at this point. I'm only working on the back of the hair. And as I lay this down, I have my little guide underneath that I just cut, and I'll just converge this right to there and take it off. Then I'll take the other section right to my guide, take it off. And the little razor cutter just takes it right off, but very soft. You can see you can make a nice soft, solid edge with that, you know, without taking any more than you want. And it doesn't leave a real sharp edge, but it's still a straight edge, a straight, soft edge. Now I'll just section down, pull down another section. This will go real smoothly, even though she has a lot of hair. We'll comb down another section. I'll pull my guide from underneath, converge to that section, and cut. Converge to this section and cut. Pulling another section down, but pulling it to the center so that I end up with this hair straight across in a nice soft line. Letting my last section down. Converging each piece, and I'm just converging slightly to the center and cutting it off soft. Another piece. Just elevating ever so slightly. Converge to the center, and we've got that cut. Now, I've completed the back portion of the haircut, so at this point I'll turn my model around. I'll have her lift her head upright, and I'll take a horizontal section from the side, combing a piece from the back, and I'll take just a small amount off the side. Just going in at this point, I'm carving out a little bit on the ends, lifting that weight out slightly. Let's pull another piece down. Another section down. And let's make sure our model's head is straight up and down. Just pulling it down so I can see my guide from underneath, converging and cutting it off. just converging to the center. I'm able at this point to go into those ends just slightly and take out just a little of the weight. What I've done now is I've carved out a section, as you can see, a diagonal section all the way around, so that I can see the hair from the back, because this is the length I want. This is here. I want to take some right in here to make those ends looser. And what I'll do is I'll start right here in the center front. We'll just carve out a little section so that I can have a guide. I'm going to remove about probably an inch or so off here. And I'll just take a little section, and there's my guide for each side. I'll comb this down, just use my little cutter to go on an angle, converge, and cut. And you can see how nice and soft that ends up. It will absolutely not look like a fresh haircut. She'll feel like she's had her hair cut for a few weeks, and it's nice and swingy and soft. Okay, I've let my top section down over what I've already cut, so I can just let it hang totally in its natural fall line, picking up my piece where I had begun to cut my first cut, and I'll just come right down, just converging this hair together so that I create a real soft line. Just blending in. At this point, I can lift this out a little so that I can take off a little of the weight in this area and lighten those ends up just a touch more. And it works really well to converge those pieces together when you're doing this. Now that I've achieved my length, I'm just going to elevate out so I can release just a little of the bulkiness still in her hair without taking any more length off. I'm holding it straight out and just taking a little of the weight off to release a little bit of the movement in her hair. Converging it straight out together, removing some weight. And I'll just go right on around the head form in vertical sections, converging it together, removing some bulk. This will really loosen up this hair. As heavy as it is, it needs a little bit just to release the weight. Just holding it straight out and just going right on around the head form, not removing any more length, but just going in and texturing those ends. Elevating out slightly. And just completing the head all the way around. Cindy Marie's hair has just been slightly air dried, not even a brush in it, and it's still got a little dampness in there. You can see how it released all that weight in there, creating lots of texture and lots of movement. And the nice thing with this, and using the little razor cutter the way I did, it doesn't look like a fresh haircut. You would never know if you looked at this or you felt it that it was just cut. There are no sharp edges, no harsh edges. Everything is soft. A lot of the weight has been removed. She still has a lot of long hair. And like I say, she still has some dampness in there, which I'm going to let it dry a little bit more on its own. This is the stage that I would leave it at if she wanted all the texture in the hair like it is. We would leave it right here. Now, I may take this a step further, put a little of the thermal styling spray, and give her a little bit more of a curly look.